Hello, I'm Martin Lau, Dietitian at Arthritis Action. Today, I have got Kate Lawson with me, nutritionist, food blogger, and health writer. She also has psoriatic arthritis.
We're going to show you that cooking with arthritis doesn't need to be complicated and it doesn't need to be challenging. With a few simple tips and some great ingredients, you can get a tasty, healthy meal in the oven in a flash. We're going to make a teriyaki salmon. There's no chopping.
Lovely.
It takes 5 minutes to do and virtually no washing up, so it's a midweek winner.
Great stuff. I mean, salmon is an oily fish and is a great way to boost omega-3 intake.
And it's the classic food that people think about when they think of foods to help arthritis. But is it that simple? If I eat loads of salmon, will my arthritis get better?
Oh, it's a great question, Kate. From the literature, I mean, people with inflammatory arthritis do have an increased cardiovascular disease risk, and omega-3 is just a perfect cardioprotective nutrient, to help. So I think on that side is important. But in relation to whether it can reduce disease activity, I think that is going to be a little bit less clear cut, namely because we have got some good positive data, from rheumatoid arthritis or even the psoriatic arthritis trial. They have been shown to be beneficial, but in terms of people with osteoarthritis, isn't really not clear in a way. So all in all, especially people with osteoarthritis, they don't have this condition, on its own. They have other comorbidities as well. So, an intake of omega-3 fatty acids is definitely useful to support overall good health.
So if they're like me and they don't particularly like oily fish and they've had to learn to like it, are there other good sources of omega-3 they could try?
Perhaps looking at the vegetarian option, which is the flax seed, or also known as linseed. But they are of the vegetarian source. They are of a short chain omega-3 fatty acid, which is slightly different to the long chain version that has been used in clinical studies. If you use supplement, then you are missing out on the lean protein and also selenium that you can get from eating fish.
So food before supplements, really?
Definitely.
So then we probably ought to get on with cooking and making this fish.
Let's do it.
Let's start with marinade then. And this is a really, really simple marinade. I like it on things like chicken, grilled aubergines, in stir fries, that kind of thing. We're just going to take 2 tablespoons of soy sauce and 2 tablespoons of mirin, which is a sweet rice wine.
Can you get mirin in supermarkets?
Yeah, it's readily available in most of them. I mean, if you don't have it around the house, you could use a tablespoon of brown sugar mixed with 1 of water. Or you could even use in a pinch something like sweet cherry. Maybe raid the pantry for that one.
Well, I can see that you've got a Japanese flavour in it. Could I possibly use sake as well?
Yeah, sake would work really nicely actually. I mean, anything with that kind of flavour profile. And I'm going to grate in some fresh ginger. And I'm using a microplane grater, which is lovely, nice and easy to use if you have arthritis because they're really sharp.
And light as well.
Yeah. And I always used to peel ginger, spent years doing it, and then somebody told me that actually if it's nice and fresh, you can leave the skin on, so that saves you time.
That's what my grandmother used to do as well.
Okay, so yeah, grandmothers always know best.
Well, I mean, could I possibly use dry ginger?
Yeah, you could use dried ginger. I mean, the flavour would be a little bit different, but it would still work. You can also get ginger minced up in jars, tubes, even in the freezer now, so there are lots of options.
Handy to know. And talking about ginger is really interesting. Well, certainly from my point of view, it will probably interest you as well.
Interesting for me too. Yeah.
And because it has been used in Chinese medicine to treat arthritis. Now, from all the experimental studies and also animal models, we know that ginger is an anti-inflammatory, and it also has the ability to switch off some of the genes that are that are associated with inflammation. And so, all in all, it can, just, on paper, it looks absolutely fantastic. But, I don't know whether it will translate into clinical practice. I guess it's early days, to be honest.
And I suppose for the time being, we can kind of enjoy the flavour of it and hope that we're getting some of those benefits. So the oven's on, the marinade's made, and now we can put the salmon on the sheets of tinfoil we have. Great. So we're going to put our piece of salmon in the middle of the sheet, and then we can arrange our vegetables around it. I've got mange tout and green beans here, just because they cook in a similar amount of time to the salmon, but you could use baby sweet corn, fine asparagus, pak choy, that kind of thing, whatever you prefer really.
Well, no chopping of vegetables. In some ways, absolutely great news for the people that I work with.
Yeah, because chopping can be a real pain when you have arthritis. I mean, if your hands hurt, your elbows or even your shoulders, it can be really tricky. I have a few good tips though. The first one is make sure you use a sharp knife. I know it sounds slightly counterintuitive, but a sharp knife is a safe knife and it will cut through the food with much less pressure. The second thing some people find helpful is if you use a carving board, you can skewer what you're cutting in the middle and then you have both hands free to press down on the knife and stop things slipping on you. And the third thing, and perhaps the sort of best thing I'd say about cooking with arthritis in general, is make it easy for yourself. Lots of supermarkets do great pre-chopped frozen vegetables. They're affordable and they're almost as good as fresh.
Fantastic tips, Kate.
Right, so if we just fold up the edge of the salmon.
So we left them here.
Got enough vegetables on there. Fold up the edge of the foil so the marinade doesn't dribble out, and we're going to spoon it over the middle, mainly over the salmon. There you go, there's some for you.
Thank you.
And then I'm going to snip some spring onions over. I'm snipping them with scissors because I find that easier than chopping, but you could do whatever you like. Okay, and now we're going to fold them up.
Right, folding up like little food parcel?
No, like a giant pasty. So we're going to bring the top together and just roll it over. And then tuck your ends in.
It's a fantastic way to do it.
Right, so these are ready to go in the oven now.
And I'll pass this over
Thank you.
the same tray.
So that'll take about 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the thickness of the salmon. Okay, that should be cooked now. Yeah, that looks perfectly cooked.
Lovely.
Great, we'll transfer it onto the plate.
That looks great. Such an easy way to cook fish and vegetable all in one go. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you, Martin.
And thank you for watching.